in such environments,
Mm-hmm.
that just makes you feel even less empowered to take action because
You feel odd.
because you see it happening, right? And then you see other victims going through this, and you see them trying to go through the system and reporting to HR, reporting to their manager, getting a neutral party to step in and do the investigation and whatnot. And all it results in is a 6-month investigation that goes nowhere.
Oh.
The person is reinstated to their position, and then you just have to work with the person that you reported who was harassing you. Hello and welcome to the Ask Work It segment of the podcast. If you have a question that you're dealing with in the workplace that you can't manage to get through, why not send it over to us and we'll try to help you with it. Today's question, Gerald, comes from Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Amanda is a new hire who recently found out that one of her interns has been harassed by someone from another department. This includes things like unwanted touching and repeated messaging.
Oh.
The intern has already told the person to stop, and for now, the behavior has stopped. For now. But now Amanda is wondering, if it happens again, what should she do? How does she respect her intern's wishes while still protecting her and others at work?
So just to be clear, right? Like, okay, the intern does not want to report this to HR.
It seems like, and I have been in a situation like Amanda's. I've had an intern who, unfortunately, had been harassed, and I didn't even hear about it from them themselves. I heard it from another friend who was in the company, and when I asked the intern what they wanted to do about it, they just said, "I don't want to stir up any trouble." And I feel like it's because interns usually are at the bottom of the totem pole of an organization. It's very hard for them to feel empowered to do anything. And they're only there for a few months. So why stir up an investigation that might last longer than your internship, that will follow you back to school?
So what happened after that?
I respected the intern's wishes. I still don't know whether it was the right thing to do. When I reached out to the manager of the harasser, I said, you should do something about your people. Her response was just to be like, but this person has retendered their resignation. We don't want to tarnish their reputation. We don't want to leave a black mark on their, I didn't agree with that.
Yeah.
So, but if my intern didn't want to pursue it, I thought I shouldn't be making it uncomfortable for them.
The very least, you did something about it. Like you brought it up, you raised up to the person's supervisor, right? Typically, from a HR perspective, I give you the textbook perspective here is you have to report it to HR.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it has to follow the organization's harassment policies. Sometimes this will include like doing some fact finding, gathering some evidence, and the person would have to be, if found, found to be doing inappropriate things, the person would have to be punished according to the company's guidelines. And if it's serious enough, it could become criminal.
But then what do you do if the intern insists and they're like, just let me leave this organization in peace?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to think about this anymore.
Yeah,
do
I
you
don't
force
know.
them into reporting this?
The right thing is to encourage them to know it's fully within their rights to be able to speak up for themselves. Whether they want to pursue, how far they want to push this, it's also up to them. So, for example, they could speak to the HR and just make a report. But if, let's say, the intern really feels like it's not a big deal, right, at least it gets placed into the HR file, all right? And then the HR will have to go through their procedures to decide what happens, right? And we have to remember that this is also done so that you can protect other people in future from being subjected to such behaviors.
Yeah.
So definitely having to educate, the younger ones and the interns about their right to speak up about such things. It has to be done, right? But sometimes what I've seen is in companies, they have such policies, but they don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Because everybody is like, they're numb to such things. It's so rampant. Have you seen a company like that before?
I mean, yeah, I'm not happy to say that I've been in places where that is the case, and very often in such environments, that just makes you feel even less empowered to take action because
you
see it happening, right? And then you see other victims going through this, and you see them trying to go through the system, and reporting to HR, reporting to their manager, getting a neutral party to step in and do the investigation and whatnot. And all it results in is a 6-month investigation that goes nowhere. The person is reinstated to their position, and then you just have to work with the person that you reported who was harassing you. So sometimes it feels scary to report this to the relevant authorities.
And you're right about the investigation sometimes taking too long.
Yeah.
Right? And if it takes too long, people just get tired of reporting and they just take it as a norm. After a while, good people will leave. If today I'm speaking to HR people, right, if they're developing such policies, I think they really have to bear in mind the length or duration and how much duress they are placing, the person who's reporting under.
Going back to Amanda, she's not so much the victim here as she is a witness, right? Because she's found out about this. So how does she move forward here while making sure that she's doing all the right things, but also making sure that her intern is not being put in uncomfortable positions?
I think Amanda's new to the team. I think it's important to just check in with HR on what the policy is about. And also sound out maybe from HR typically what happens, right? And just so that she gets an idea, and then she can go back to her intern to share the process. Right, that will give her and the intern a lot more confidence at what might happen if they choose to report this. She probably has to also apply some sense of how serious this is. I guess certain things, if the intern doesn't feel very comfortable, then maybe it will be harder for Amanda to report it.
Right.
But Amanda, in my opinion, Amanda should still file a comment or a case or an incident with the HR that something like that took place. Right?
Just so that it's on file.
Because you don't know under the HR records, maybe several people have already filed these things against this person.
Right.
And it's not the first time.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's still important to at least put it on record. But whether this person the intern wants to push forward or not, it really depends on the intern.
Let's say the intern agrees, after some convincing by Amanda. Are there ways in which Amanda can help the intern through this process?
So I checked in with a few of my HR friends as well for some ideas about this before. And some of the good practices would be like, for example, having a sit-down interview, not just between HR and the intern, right? But maybe Amanda can be present just to show, some support for her.
Do HRs typically allow that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, because you are the one who is the direct reporting line of the intern. I think it's good, just in case the intern feels like overwhelmed, allowing HR to go through the due diligence of asking their questions. They may ask for some evidence. If there were people, other witnesses around, they might want to know who are they, when the details of the event, right? So letting HR to keep everything. And then after that, they would do their due diligence to go and flag out to whatever committees that they have. Maybe reach out to usually such matters could be reported to the chief HR officer so that they are also kept aware of such things. And then they will have to review internally what they might want to do about it. Some of these cases, people might want to be anonymous, but honestly speaking, I don't know how anonymous can you be. Because you have to be pretty specific about who is the person, who's the victim here, right? So you can't really keep your identity anonymous.
Yeah. Well, this just feels like a tough situation all around.
Yeah, but sometimes it's the right thing to do, lah.
Are there any other ways that Amanda could support this intern in, throughout the investigation or throughout the reporting process? I'm imagining things like, suggesting going for counseling or stuff like that. Is that something that, would Amanda be overstepping if she were to do this kind of thing?
If you start to spot, some difficulties, like for example, if the person gets anxiety whenever the other party is in the meeting room, right? Then maybe this could be carried along with the intern for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's really, really important to seek help. If once you spot such signals, then again, we don't know how serious this is. But then again, the gravity of the matter really doesn't just depend on the offense, but also depends on how the victim feels about it, how they feel that they have been treated. You have to really monitor your intern a little bit more. Check in with her to find out how is she doing, and really observe and not just take the words, her responses as the truth. So you got to observe her behavior. If the person is really working in close proximity, maybe change the seats. Don't let them see each other that much.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's the wise thing to do also.
Now I'm learning a lot. I wish we had this conversation back when I was in this situation. But one thing that I did do was I aligned with that manager of the harasser to make sure that our in-office days were different from their in-office days.
Great.
So after that point in time, there shouldn't have been any contact. What if, it's a situation like mine where the intern absolutely don't want to get involved in a reporting process, says don't do this or I will leave, or goes to some extreme measures to make sure that they don't get involved in reliving this experience, I guess. What then can Amanda do to make sure that at least for future interns or anyone else who comes into the company, they don't become a target or become a victim again?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because Amanda, in her role, she's playing two roles here, right? One as an employee, as a manager. So that's a part of her that needs to do things correctly.
Yeah.
And there's the other part that is as looking after well-being of you, let's say of the person who's the victim, right? Then there's that difficulty there. Sometimes it's a judgment call. And of course, if today the person doesn't want to pursue for whatever reason, really doesn't want to pursue, very often the manager would be inclined to just let things go. Yeah. But of course, I would say that if that's the situation, then the manager should at least continue to check in. Check in meaning that to have that open channel with the person, because the person might change their mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes after they go back, they talk to their friends, they speak to their family members about it. They feel like, I think I should do something about it. So the manager should, always maintain the open communication. Maybe thank the person for even trusting you to share this, because it has been uncomfortable. But now that there's an open communication there, that channel is always open if you choose to change your mind.
Is there usually a timeline or a time frame in which you can report this thing? What if the intern, later on becomes a full-time employee, and then a year later they're like, you know what, I'm going to nip this in the bud a little bit late, but can I report this now?
I don't know whether we are going to the legalities of things, right? But I don't know, if things pass after a long time, people might wonder, like, why are you reporting this after so long?
Right.
So I do think that if someone wants to report, do it as quickly as possible.
Amanda, you're in a tough situation, and we sympathize with you and your intern. Hopefully this discussion that we just had helps you to understand better where your options lie and how you can support your intern moving forward. Like Gerald said, this is not something that we should be tolerating in the workplace. If any of you who are listening or watching have a workplace dilemma, write to us. We're at cnapodcast@mediacorp.com.sg.
I'm Gerald.
And I'm Nat. Small actions can shape a safer workplace for everyone.